November 11th, Shreveport City Council work session is now called to order. I would ask that everyone please stand and silence your cell phones if you've not done that, as we've been waiting to get going here. I know a number of us up here have been to different veteran ceremonies today and around town. I think what we'll do today for our invocation is, if you would take a few moments just to reflect personally on the things that we are able to enjoy because of the work that those before us have done and those that are on active duty right now. So if you would, please join me in prayer. Heavenly Father, we thank you for being able to be here today to represent citizens and do the work of the city. We thank those who have served our country in various ways, those who are with us today and those who have come long before us. Lead us to make good decisions, have good conversation, and move things forward as we should. Amen. I'll ask Councilman Oliver Jenkins to lead us in a pledge.
Okay, please face the flag and repeat with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mike, I thought you was going to say I'd like to get Carl Jenkins.
That'll be next time.
Okay.
Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Ms. McCullough. Here. Mr. Everson.
Here.
Mr. Oliver Jenkins.
Present.
Mr. Corbin.
Here.
Mr. Webb.
Here.
Mr. Shine.
Present.
Mr. Sam Jenkins.
Could also, instead of Mr., she's just...
Tomorrow I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the administrative conference Monday, October 21st and the October 22nd City Council meeting. At this time, does any council member have any awards, recognitions, or distinguished guests?
I would like to just briefly recognize Annie McDermott and Shelley Regal and the SPAR team for what occurred earlier today. Was a media day to update people on the progress of Municipal Auditorium, which was dedicated in honor of the veterans of World War I 84 years ago, and is coming along fantastically. The project is 80% complete with the initial project scope. There has been some additional project scope added to it as funds were acquired through historic tax credits to do some additional work. And all the work is on schedule and looking to be completed on time. It's looking great, and they've really paid a great deal of respect to the building, and just really happy to see that project progressing the way it is.
Anyone else?
Sure, I'd like to say what a great job the Veterans Parade and ceremony went yesterday. First of all, couldn't have had better weather. That was, you couldn't have set up a better program that they had, and certainly the weather added to it. I mean, I don't know the numbers that actually participated, but certainly north of 1,000 people in the parade. Great people there and very enthusiastic about what the veterans mean to this country and our particular region of the country. So that was great to see. And really, really got to express gratitude to Ken Epperson, who it is kind of his calling to put that on every year, and he works very hard across the year to get that done. So it was great.
Mr. Sibley, any awards, recognitions, or communications relative to city business?
Just a couple of things, Mr. Chairman. Sure, if the mayor were in the chambers, he would join the council in thanking particularly Commissioner Epperson for the work he did with the ceremony. I had an opportunity to participate and meet some outstanding veterans who have seniority on me, and even our pilot across the way. And I'm sure he would extend that greeting to all the veterans here in the chamber, which I think you are, and others that are out there, so we would join in that. Also, just a couple of things I'd like to recognize. He doesn't know I'm going to do this, but Andrew Yeagers, one of our engineers, is going to be leaving us soon. And I just wanted to take a moment. I think most of you have worked with Andrew, seen the work he's done, so and I'm no surprise you didn't know I was going to do that. But I want to at least take the opportunity to publicly thank him on behalf of the administration for the work he's done, and wish him well as he returns to his home area. And thirdly, we have with us, Mr. Chairman, Ms. Smith with Comcast has departed. her replacement, Mr. Ronnie Colvin, is here today in chambers, and if it's okay at this moment, we'd like to bring him up and give him a chance to introduce himself and make a few comments.
First of all, let me say thank you very much for the opportunity to come before you today. I'm Ronnie Colvin. My title is Senior Director of External Affairs for Comcast. I got some big shoes to fill, and I do realize that. Give you a little background. I've got 30 years with Comcast, and I've been coming to Shreveport in a technical capacity for the last 12 months. I've probably made 20-plus visits, so I'm very familiar with the area, very familiar with the employees, and while I've been coming here, we've had a chance to really put together what I think is a good plan. We went out and really met with customers, QC'd work behind our technicians to understand where the gaps were, and I feel like we've made some progress, and I want to share a little bit of that with you today. But I want to really talk about our personnel. We've added, many of you I think may have met Remick Darden. He's a manager here, the local manager, tech manager. He comes to us. He's a Comcaster. He was in Monroe, Louisiana before. We moved him here late last year, and he's been at the helm taking care of things. We've also made a couple other changes. We've added a couple of new supervisors that we think have made a really good impact on the operation there. We're now at employing 108 people here in Shreveport today. Payroll impact is about $4 million to the area. We've really been in somewhat of an overhiring mode this year. We've tried to get all of our technical positions staffed, certainly all the customer-facing positions, people that go out and do the work and work on our lines for us. I am an engineer by trade, so when I look at things, I always look at metrics and try to make a lot of comparisons. And before we implemented the 2013 plan, we kind of looked at where we were at in 2012, and I'm happy to say today, when I look at where we are November 2013 versus last year, we've one of the biggest improvements has been in the area of trouble calls. We've already done 4,800 less trouble calls this year than we did in 2012. That's a big number. That means that's 4,800 less phone calls that were made, 4,800 appointments that had to be made by customers being home. It's a huge number, and that is, to me, that's almost like a health check of how the system's operating when you look at the trouble call rate. So that is that's something I want to point out to you. Outages is a second kind of health check that I look at. Our outages have gone down significantly. We've done about 50% less outages. We've had about 50% less outages this year, 2013, than we did in 2012. And really taking that activity out of the operation allows us to get to our customers quicker. That's the big benefit to the customer out of this. Obviously, having a service that's reliable and it is consistent is a key. But being able to respond things to quicker is a big part of it. The most logical question is, what would you attribute that to? I really attribute it to a couple of things. We've certainly invested a lot of time. As again, I've mentioned, I've been over a lot, and I've had my senior team, and I'm from Jackson, Mississippi. A lot of those folks have spent the same amount of time that I have over here, and we've certainly invested a lot of time. We've also made a big financial commitment to the plant. We've changed out 22 miles of what I call damaged. A lot of it was, believe it or not, was squirrels chewed lines and nicked lines and things where we had spans of cable that were bad. So we've done over 22 miles of plant change out. We've made some significant progress towards our tap change out project that I think some of you may have been talked to. Francis may have shared that with you. That's an ongoing commitment. We're going to make another $1 million commitment in 2014 to continue to change those out. And we've also made a lot of improvements just in our what we call our head-end building there on Quallen Road. We've got, like matter of fact, tomorrow night, the AEP, the power company, is going to be coming out and putting us in a larger transformer in the maintenance window tomorrow night. Should be no customer impact, but we've done that. We've put in new generators. We've made just a lot of commitments on the network side to try to stabilize the plant somewhat and make improvements. I'm not here before you today saying everything's fixed, everything's perfect. I would be naive to come up here and say and to think that. But again, I do know that we've made progress, and we've been tracking every piece of correspondence that we get from the city since March, and I've seen that number go down. I think for the month of October, we had, in September, I think we had 4 inquiries from the city. We had 2 in October, and we've had 2 this month. I think since March, we've been tracking, we've had about 75. Again, those are escalations that have come to the city and then come back, either hit me or Francis or someone on their technical team. But I'm cognizant of that, and I do want you to know that I think I've had a couple of inquiries from some of you already. I will stand before you and say I'll always close the loop with you. I'll get to the bottom of it, and that's my commitment to you, that I will be as diligent as Francis was to take care of your constituents and our customers' needs. A couple of things I did want to mention about products. That's one of the things that we have launched some new products. I wanted to mention just 3 quick things. The Xfinity Home product, we're now offering a home security service here in Shreveport. That's been very well received. We're also doing a lot of Wi-Fi, and I don't know, we've got about 30 hotspots now across the city. That number is growing every day. It's a service we offer our business customers, and it allows our customers and non-customers as well to go in and use Wi-Fi hotspots across the city. So that number will continue to grow. And then the third thing is X1. I mean, some of you may have seen that read it in if you've ever looked at any information about Comcast. It's a new platform that we're going to be launching. It's going to come to Shreveport in the first quarter is when we've got it slated for. We've already got it in a lot of our employees' homes today. It's really just a kind of a next generation product. You can do Facebook, you can do Pandora. It's got all kind of apps that are actually on the box. One of the neatest things, you can be watching ESPN on Saturday at a game, hit the sports app, and it'll bring up all the scores that are going on of all the games that are going on for a Saturday. So really a neat product, and we're going to have that coming to the city of Shreveport. But that's what I wanted to do today, is just get before you, thank you for the opportunity, at least where you know that there's a face for Comcast and someone that you can reach out to. And I'll be glad to either answer any questions or...
Thank you, Mr. Colvin. Certainly, I want to thank you first for being responsive to emails that I've sent back and forth to you, and I will say that you've jumped on that quickly and resolved most of the problems that could be resolved. You talked about the number of complaints or issues going down based off just contacts that I've had with citizens. I believe that to be true. I think that we still have those areas, and I know that this was in your comments of what you're addressing, some of those problem areas that just seem to experience the same thing over and over. And if we can continue to identify those areas and make changes, then I think we're certainly moving in the right direction.
And some of that is sometimes, again, we track every outage, just like, so we're able to go in and correlate areas where we have, even when it gets down to trouble calls, we can go in and look and correlate and figure out which areas have more trouble calls than others. So we're actually doing that behind the scenes, and I think that's some of that is baked into the numbers that I showed you, just some of the results. But it's a valid point, sir.
Yeah, I think other than that, one of the chief things that I get complaints about are how long it takes cable to be buried, and I know that's something that normally goes out to a third-party vendor, but if we can, there may be some efficiencies there of how you can do it. I mean, I'm sure you try to get a number of jobs before that contractor comes out, but I do get complaints about that. And then I've not forwarded you this email yet, but I will, and it was a very lengthy and well-written email where the citizen is talking about their concerns and their bill and how they think their price keeps increasing, but then you get to the bottom couple lines, and it really came down to the fact that they didn't think they ought to have to buy connection equipment for every TV. That was their whole thing, is they had one box and they thought that should work for the whole house. And, you know, that's just not how the system works. But we appreciate you, well, welcome you to Shreveport and to this position, and look forward to working with you.
Okay, very good.
Any other questions?
I have one. Mr. Coleman, do you happen to have a card on you, please?
I do. I'll be glad to, if it's okay, I'll just hand some to Dale.
Oh, that'd be great, just because
Good.
obviously, as you said, we do get a couple phone calls, and I always like to have your contact.
My cell phone number is on my card as well, and email is probably the best way, but in a pinch, please hit me on my cell. I'll be more than happy to respond
Perfect.
immediately to you.
Give me more than one.
Oh, I will. I brought some. And just so you know, I think we sent a transition letter out to everyone too, so you may have that in your box to refer to as well, but that's all. Thank you
Mr.
very
Coleman.
much. I appreciate it.
Mr. Chairman, just two other notes, if I may. One is, just wanted to, for information purposes, those city employees who are uninsured under the Affordable Care Act, we will have a 3-day open enrollment today through Wednesday to give those uninsured city employees the option and opportunity to sign on with city insurance so that they won't end up penalized, or whatever the penalties are in that situation should they not be covered. And it also gives them an option of perhaps having a lower cost insurance plan, but we want to be sure everyone knew that today through Wednesday. Also, just a note, I think y'all heard about the women's conference that was held a couple of months ago that HR talked about. Well, there's a men's conference this Thursday, 8 to noon at the Police and Fire Academy, and our very own Fred Sanders, who's sitting in the audience, will be the keynote speaker at that event. So everyone's invited. They said women can come also, but it's primarily targeted to us. So that'll be Thursday, 8 to noon at the Academy. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Sibley. Does any council member have any concerns relative to property standards at this time? All right, if not, I believe we've received our revenue collection plan and our surety bond forfeitures report electronically. Mr. Sibley will have a brief discussion on the revenue
Very
numbers
brief,
tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yes, sir.
Thank you very much.
I mean, but hey, listen,
It's encouraging.
it is
Yes.
positive.
Yes.
I'm not celebrating. I'm just.
Good trend, though.
It's a good trend. I mean, it's not that I'm not concerned, but I'm less concerned.
The worst may be.
Tomorrow, we will have a public hearing on the proposed 2014 budget ordinances. Mr. Sibley, is there any legislation to be added tomorrow?
None that we're aware of, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, we have a couple of items. One is a resolution declaring November the 23rd as Homelessness Awareness Month by Mr. Everson. Another is a resolution stating the City of Shreveport's endorsement of Home Federal Bank to participate in the benefits of a Louisiana Restoration Tax Abatement Program by Mr. Everson and Mr. Jenkins. Those are not on your E-agenda yet, but we just finished them off and they will be on there item.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson. At this time, I have no request to speak. We have no confirmations or appointments to be considered today. Sibley, let's go to consent agenda.
Mr. Chairman, we have nothing under item 8 consent agenda to be introduced or adopted. Under section 9, regular agenda legislation, sub A, resolutions on second reading and the final passage, or which will require only one reading. Number 192, authorizes the mayor to execute an agreement with J.P. Morgan Chase Bank for the financing the vehicles and equipment otherwise providing with respect thereto. Number 194, a resolution ratifying the use of certain equipment by Olive Street Ministries. Number 196, declaring certain adjudicated property to be surplus, which will authorize the mayor to sell the city of Shreveport's tax interest in these adjudicated properties. Number 197, declares the city's interest in certain adjudicated property as surplus and otherwise provides with respect thereto. Number 198, waives the effect of certain provisions of Section 78-359 of the city's Code of Ordinances relative to the length of a pier and boathouse adjacent to 7411 Mallard Bay Drive. Number 199, authorizes the naming of the community room at Bill Cockrell Metro Park and Community Center to honor the memory of Joyce Marie McLemore Bowman for her service to the citizens of Shreveport and Caddo Parish as a Caddo Parish Commissioner from 1999 until 2006, and as Caddo Parish Commissioner from 2011 until her death on May 26, 2013. Resolution 200 authorizes the mayor to dedicate the 2600 block of Hollywood Avenue in honor of the late Billy Joe McDowell. And that completes Section 8, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Sibley. Any discussion on resolutions on second reading? Councilman Everson.
I wanted to just update everybody on resolution number 198. This is a request I received for a property that is actually outside of the city limits, so it's not really in anybody else's district. But they contacted me about it. Their business is in District B, so that's how I knew the applicant. But what they're wanting to do is their property is in a cove along the lake, and they're wanting to build a pier that will get out to where they can get to a boathouse. And Wes and Environmental Engineering has been working with them to make sure that these stipulations will allow them to build that pier out there, but will also allow the neighboring property owners to access their property should they choose to do that. So this has been acceptable to, it's been reviewed by legal, engineering, and the property owners have accepted the stipulations. So that's where it is. If anybody has any questions, I'm happy to field them. But
Is that in District 2? Lyndon Johnson's district?
I'm not sure
Mallard
what,
Bay, that's District 2.
I'm not sure exactly what parish commission district it's in.
Mallard Bay, I believe so.
Probably so.
And so there is some kind of servitude, or that the other neighbors get to use it, or some kind of...
Well, it's what it is there's a built-in pass for them to be able to get through. They have the elevator portion of it so that they'll be able to access their area.
I got you. So it's the design of
The design of the pier would accommodate the neighboring property.
That's good. Good to see neighbors working together. If there's no other discussion, Mr. Sibley, let's proceed with introduction of resolutions.
I'm sorry.
These are resolutions.
Time out there. Councilman Sam
I'm
Jenkins.
coming in late, have the audacity to ask questions.
We're gonna
After
give you
the
a pass.
Saints-Cowboys game last night, I jumped off the Texas Street Bridge when it came down.
There's still hope. Y'all have a bye this week. So
I
We're going to show highlights at the end of the meeting.
I have a funny story.
You won't lose this
I've
week.
had enough. With all due respect, Billy Joe McDowell, who's
I mean,
Hollywood?
That's Joe's. Joe, that's yours.
yeah, but I'm trying to,
Look, I'm not trying to put it back on the spot. I was just
No.
wondering.
It's the lady who's been contacting us. Her husband was a mechanic or something.
okay,
Ran a business.
okay.
But it didn't have a link for me to figure out who it was. That's why I was
It's
asking.
not linked yet.
Okay, all right, that's fine. Okay.
I'm really tempted to tell my story.
Section B, Mr.
What we
Chairman.
will, I'm sorry, Chairman. All right, what we will do is just put up a sign, is that it?
Right,
Okay, it'll still be Hollywood, but it'll just be good,
yeah. This block dedicated to the memory of.
right.
But aren't we gonna have to change all those to Joe Shine in a few years? when we're ready?
no,
I mean,
no.
that whole district's gonna be destined.
Shine Boulevard, huh?
Joe Shine, we may have to change the name of Hollywood, frankly.
I don't think he's in a rush.
No, that's right.
It doesn't have to be a post-mortem dedication. It can be a,
You have to die first.
No,
Then wait 2 years, huh?
and then we gotta wait 2 years? I'd rather do it when he's alive.
Now we can change that ordinance.
no.
Mr. Sibley,
No, thank
before this
you
goes
all.
further
No.
downhill, please proceed.
Section B, introduction of resolutions not to be adopted prior to November 26, 2013. Number 201, authorizes the mayor to sign an engagement letter and agreement between the City of Shreveport and BKD LLP for an external audit of the City of Shreveport for fiscal year January 1, 2013 through December 31st, 2013. Number 202, approves the 2014 Downtown Development Authority Program of Work. Number 203, authorizes the use of certain equipment by Sports Spectrum Race Management. Number 204, ratifies the use of certain equipment and Festival Plaza by Sports Spectrum Race Management. Number 205, authorizes the execution of a collective bargaining agreement with Louisiana Public Employees Council number 17, American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees Local number 13-25, and to otherwise provide with respect thereto. And number 206, authorizes the mayor to execute a contract agreement between the city of Shreveport and Denny Drive Water System, doing business as Eagle Water Incorporated for emergency connection of water supply service, and to otherwise provide with respect thereto.
Any discussion? Councilman Sam Jenkins.
All right, Mr. Chairman. Number 205, is it my understanding, Mr. CAO, that the rank and file they're in agreement with what's being presented?
Yes, sir. What has been submitted to the council is based upon the agreement and notification by the local and the state that they are in agreement with that agreement. Yes, sir.
And Mr. Sibley, if we could, tomorrow, could we have just whether Ms. Scott does it or you do it, just kind of a brief synopsis of this agreement and what it does? I mean, I know that we can certainly read it, but then there's a little bit of legalese in there.
That's pretty lengthy.
And I can't always get Councilman Shine on the phone to explain it. So just kind of give us a rundown of what this document
You see it in Olive. Yeah.
We I just tried to dedicate a street in your name.
Okay.
We will do that, Mr. Corbin.
Thank you. Any other discussion?
Yeah, that Denny Drive, can I have a little explanation on tomorrow at least? So it's why it's emergency connection?
If you like, we can go ahead and get Barbara up now,
Sure.
Mr. Jenkins.
And note that that's not in my district, close to it.
Part of the State Department of Health and Hospitals regulations is that basically small systems have a connection to another system for emergency purposes. And this is just an emergency connection to fulfill those requirements. And we don't expect to have to deliver water to them under any other circumstances besides an emergency. It's a very small system.
And so what would constitute, I guess, an emergency? I mean, is that the sense that some part of their pump breaks down and they got to use water for a week or two until they can get it fixed, or I mean, are we talking like catastrophic?
To someone on that system, that would be catastrophic if they didn't have water for, a number of days. It's something that we do we have agreements in place with Greenwood, with a number of different other municipalities that are adjacent to and have access to, lines on our system, and we have those same agreements.
And this services what? Is it just the northern part of Cross Lake or something like that?
Denny Drive is actually more southwest. It's off of Meriwether. It's a very small system. They're working. The system is getting some maps for me. Didn't give me a map, and so they're working on that.
Gotcha.
And I'll get that to you. That'll be up next time. But it's very small.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Barbara.
Any other discussion? If not, Mr. Sibley, let's move on to introduction of ordinances.
These are ordinances not to be adopted prior to November 26, 2013. Number 143 amends the 2013 capital improvements budget. This is regarding Sport Trans, some grant reconciliation. Number 144 amends the 2013 general fund budget. This is a SPAR internal movement of funds within their budget. Number 145 amends the 2013 Community Development Special Revenue Fund budget. Again, this is some internal movement within the Community Development budget. Number 146 revises, amends, and enacts Section 78-386 of the City of Shreveport Code of Ordinances relative to permits required, fee, duration, waiver fee, and otherwise providing with respect thereto. And this is an SBD Marine Patrol regarding activity on the lake. Number 147 amends the 2013 capital improvements budget. This is related to airport and a taxiway project.
Any discussion? All right, Mr. Sibley, let's proceed with ordinances on second reading.
These are ordinances on second reading and final passage. Number 117 amends the 2013 capital improvements budget. This is the Hersey D. Wilson project. Number 136 closes and abandons a portion of Fannin Street between Baker Street and Douglas Street, located in Section 37, Township 18, Range 14 West, Caddo Parish, Louisiana, otherwise providing with respect thereto. Number 137, closes and abandons a portion of the Benson Court Alley between Baker Street and Douglas Street, located in Section 37, 1814, Caddo Parish, Louisiana. Number 138, closes and abandons the 10-foot wide alley between Kemper Street and East 72nd Street, west of Line Avenue in the East Cedar Grove subdivision, located in Section 25, 1714 West, Caddo Parish, Louisiana. Number 139, declares a public servitude on certain adjudicated properties and otherwise provides with respect thereto. Number 140, amends the 2013 general fund budget, appropriating the funds authorized therein. This is regarding some equipment for the solid waste division. Number 141 is zoning matter C7313. This amends Chapter 106 of the Code of Ordinances, City of Shreveport zoning ordinance by rezoning property located on the southeast corner of Uri Drive and Arthur Avenue, change from SPI 3B1 Commercial Corridor Overlay Buffer Business District to SPI 3EB1 Commercial Corridor Overlay Buffer Business Extended Use District, limited to a veterinary clinic for household pets, small animals only. Number 142 is zoning matter C7413. It amends Chapter 106 of the Code of Ordinances by rezoning property located on the northwest corner of East 74th Street and Line Avenue, change from B2 Neighborhood Business District to R1H Urban One Family Residence District.
Thank you, Mr. Sibley. Any discussion?
I hit the request button, Councilman.
Councilwoman McCullough.
Regarding ordinance 117, I've heard from the engineering department regarding completion of the design, and I'm asking your support on tomorrow to support the amendment to this particular ordinance.
But that being said, the design is complete, or the in-house, the deal's ready to go up for bid, I guess.
That's correct.
Any other discussion?
Don't know what this is.
If not, Mr. Thompson, is there any table legislation that will come off tomorrow?
It's 142.
I'm not aware of it, Mr. Chairman. We just did that.
There is possibly some legislation that I'm going to need to add tomorrow that wasn't included,
Okay.
and it's regarding a stop sign.
Just before we move on to appeals or anything, I did want to mention the two that Art read earlier. One is a declaration of Homelessness Awareness Month. You may remember last month we did one for Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and those 2 months are back to back, so I just didn't want anybody to be confused about what is this one coming up again. But it's not the same thing. It's a different problem. Providence House is involved in both of those areas of service, and so they'll be here to make a few comments about it. And then also the other one is for the project that there's a Home Federal Bank has done some renovations to their building, and there's a program called the Restoration Tax Abatement Program that we've used a number of times in the downtown area. It's limited to a few areas of the city, but if you're unfamiliar with it, it is basically where we freeze the tax level at the current level, and then they do improvements, and it's sort of an incentive to get them to do improvements that we continue to charge taxes at the pre-improvement value of the property. So they've asked to participate in that, and so their application will be coming before us tomorrow.
I believe that brings us to property standards appeals. Ms. Farnell.
Good afternoon. Our first case is 144 Pennsylvania Avenue. It is in Councilman Oliver Jenkins' area. The owners are not present. they've made a lot of progress, but the rear part of the structure has still not been complete. They did say they were going to be here. So I would ask that we just continue this for another 30 days, if you don't mind.
I'll make a motion to continue it for 30 days.
Motion by Councilman Oliver Jenkins, second by
Why
the
not
Vice
2
Chair.
weeks? I mean, you know,
2
they weren't
weeks?
here last time, and now it's like they're just totally ignoring us.
They came late, they came, and the decision had already been made last council meeting. So what's your pleasure? You want to do 30 days or 2 weeks?
Well, I mean, bottom line on this, and I was going to say this, I mean, how much longer is this thing really going to linger? I mean, we're kind of in a bad spot on this. I mean, we're not going to demolish it.
No, we're
Right?
not.
I mean, and
That's the reason why they're not coming,
we don't have, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, obviously, we don't have a whole lot of leverage at this point, unless you can tell me what our leverage is. I mean, they've put a lot of money into this deal, and they've kind of been stalling on the part that is less visible to the surrounding neighbors. But it is just an administrative burden on us to continue to have to deal with this.
What we can do, we have 2 options.
Okay.
We can order the house be demolished, even though it doesn't need to be demolished, and let them go to First JDC and deal with First JDC, or we can cite them to city court.
Well, I mean, truthfully, I mean, I'm not really sure either one of those are gonna help us out in getting this deal done.
Otherwise,
Any more money?
Okay, I mean, okay, so I'm gonna ask for 30 days, but
okay. And we'll
I
try to
mean,
get
the
in touch
next
with
time you
them.
talk to her, I mean, I think we've been patient enough. I mean, this started under council,
Previous council.
under previous council. And though it's in good shape, it'd be great if they could spend a weekend and finish it. That's my motion. 30 days. Please vote.
And that is 7 yes. All right, Ms. Farnell, case number 2.
Case number 2 is 1744 Ashton Street, in Mrs. McCullough's area. The owner was present on the last city council meeting. He was asked to, actually to secure, we were here on October the 7th. He was to secure the structure on 10/8 and have the sale completed. As of this day, neither has occurred. The house is still open to the elements. There has not been any change in the completion of the sale, so I would ask that these houses be demolished.
Support your decision.
Second.
Okay.
Motion by Councilwoman McCullough, second by Councilman Sam Jenkins for demolition.
There's been a lot of problems out at that location.
All right, Mr. Chairman. Which one, we gotta just remind me, I remember there was a conversation about this. Which one is this? This is the one that,
Off Ashton Street, where they got, put all the stuff out there in the front yard, all the way from the door to the front yard, still that stinked up the place for months, the whole 9 yards, all that had to be cleaned
Oh,
up.
yeah.
And he hasn't went in and did anything with the structures.
Well, then he was saying he was selling it. Wasn't that part of his story, that he had
Was.
a buyer or something and
And he needed 4 other signatures
signatures on his relatives
but that
or
has not
something?
occurred, and they had promised that they were going to secure them also, but neither has occurred.
But the neighbors out there been calling everybody.
Yeah, well, I voted yes.
let's go.
February.
Let's go District A.
Hey,
We're going to help this project along, and that is 7 yes.
Our next case is inoperable vehicles in Councilman Epperson's area. This is a case wherein we have 4 in-ops. They were cited. 2 of them, one is a white Lexus, a Lincoln Navigator. We have a 3X, 2X Nissan. I don't think the owner is present. We did give them time to show us that the vehicles were operable. They have not. She made a statement that the 2, the Nissan and the Fiat, were not operable. She doesn't have a key. We've given her ample time to show us that they are. So,
Who is is this Miss Douglas, or Miss Johnson, rather?
Johnson,
Okay.
she
And
has talked to the inspector, and as I said, she doesn't have the key. We've given her time to get the key. She said her son is in jail, so she is not so much concerned about the Nissan and the Fiat, because one is jacked up, the other one has all the windows out. Since the time that we did cite it, those cars, she did put air in the Lexus and the Lincoln Navigator, but of course, she still has not shown us that they operate. Now, during this time, we received several complaints on this house and the one next door and several others. We tagged everything on that street.
Yeah. I do get
We got a lot of complaints about them,
I
yes.
do get complaints about this. And so what is your recommendation to move forward with?
I think we should move forward.
Yeah, so moved to.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Everson, second by the Vice Chair.
Can I just ask a question? I'm voting in favor of it. I was just wondering. So what happens to these cars? I mean,
What happened, she'll have 30 days to file an appeal with First JDC.
but I'm saying, suppose
So
she
we won't do anything until that time. However, during that time, what happens if the cars afterwards, if they're towed, they will have an opportunity to get them back from the towing company. They must pay they must pay all the towing fees, they must pay administrative costs. But it'll be towed back to the place where it was towed from.
And the storage fee.
They have to pay all of that. It will be incumbent upon them to do so.
But then after a year, right, that company then can
Right.
sell it, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
After they go through all the legal paperwork that the state requires them
Right,
to
okay.
do, yes, they can.
I mean, I think that's why they
seconded the motion?
Vice Chair. And it's obvious that none of these vehicles have moved in some time.
Yes, they've been there for quite some time.
And there are problems in and around this location where there's even a shortage of parking and a lot of inoperable vehicles right around there.
One of the problems is a sticker on one of the cars is one of the reasons why. I
I was waiting for somebody to bring it up.
Okay, well, that won't go any further.
That is 7 yes. Case number 4.
Our next case is 795 West 70th Street. It is in Councilman Shine's area. The owner is present, Mr. Ali. Mr. Ali has been working on this structure. He does have some things that must be done, which is the structural support bracket is not anchored properly. He has to complete the outside. Insect infestation, the rock rafter ends, and chipping paint in the porch and ceiling. I have spoken to him, Mr. Ali.
It's pretty good shape.
Yeah.
The house, he states that he can complete it in 6 weeks. I'm willing to give him that time. He has done a lot of work. He did have some complications as far as one of his relatives, but he's here. He wished to address and ask him any questions, Mr. Shine.
Good afternoon. My name is Ali. I was given till November 4th to complete outside, but my father died. I went overseas for 6 weeks. That's why it's been delayed. So I would like to request another 6 weeks to complete everything outside.
Mr. Ali, you sound like a very earnest man. So instead of 6 weeks, I'm gonna say let's give you 7 weeks.
Second.
In case there's a little bit of bad weather.
We'll meet on 7 weeks.
We'll make that work.
Okay.
Motion by the Vice Chair, second by Councilman Sam Jenkins.
What date does that come up with?
Also order him to get his permit. His permit expired November the 4th, so I want that to be put into the order also.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Make sure you tell Art so he'll hear.
What is the next meeting after 7 weeks?
We will have to send a letter stating what that date will be. We don't have the January.
Calendar yet.
And for him to secure the permit, because it has expired.
Okay.
Last meeting in January.
No, it would be
That's all I have.
it would be the 14th of January.
Thank you, Ms. Cornell.
14th of January.
13th.
13th.
What is it?
January the 13th is the day we voted.
B, we voted.
Is that okay with you, Mr. Shine? January the
That's
13th?
fine with me, if it's,
Oh,
okay.
January 13th.
I guess we have it.
Those are all the cases that I have.
Thank you, Ms. Farnell.
I really want to tell my Saints joke.
We're going to get to that. I believe that brings us to ABO appeals. Corporal Collins?
I think Corporal Collins may have left. He had something that came up, but the only one that's on here today is the Raceway appeal. This is a site that is right at the border of Councilman Sam Jenkins and I's districts, and very close to Councilman Sean's district as well. But in talking with the involved parties and Councilman Jenkins, I think what we've decided, they're coming up with a corrective action plan, and there are some additional pieces of information that we'd like to see in writing and have combined before we make any decisions. So we're asking that we postpone this for 2 weeks.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Everson to postpone, second by Councilman Sam Jenkins.
Mr. Chairman, so that Corporal Collins won't get into trouble, we told him that he could go because it was going to be postponed. Nothing came up on his end.
Good.
I was sending him an email right now. 7 yes. All right. We have no more ABO appeals. Tomorrow, Mr. Thompson, we will have 2 MPC or zoning appeals.
That's good.
And at this time, are there any reports from officers, boards, or committees?
I'll report the Riverfront Committee met today and did make the recommendation to move forward with the new application process that we passed in 2012. So what we'll be doing is preparing that information to be sent out to only applicants who met the August 31st application deadline. It's not reopening it to new applicants, but keeping it limited to those that have already met the application deadline for this year. So that was made, and the new deadline that was suggested was December 20th. So that is an update on that situation.
We'll have a report on the A and F committee meeting on tomorrow, Mr. Chairman.
Great.
Audit committee, yes.
Okay, and then with regard to our issue in our, call it Marshall Street bars, nightclubs, lounges, what have you, whatever the term is, waiting still on a little data feedback from the police department, unless you've gotten some. Okay. So they were going to provide some feedback on kind of the impact in terms of resources, and hopefully, the moment we have that, we'll set up another public safety meeting.
And one more, this is an update. It's not actually on the agenda of the infrastructure committee meeting yet, but I did get an indication that there's a group that's going to be coming to council tomorrow to advocate for bike and pedestrian lanes to be added on city streets. This is something that's been discussed a number of times in the past, and I think this group is just coming to express their support for that idea. It is something that's mentioned in our master plan, as well as something that I'll be encouraging them to participate in the Unified Development Code process, where that's something that can be addressed, as well as a few other things. But I did just want to let y'all know, in case you get any questions about bike lanes, there is a group advocating for that tomorrow, and we'll continue to direct them to the available opportunities to assist in the development of that.
And are they coming with a proposal how to fund it?
I don't know. I don't believe so. I believe they're coming.
I mean, I'm just, bring the problem, but I like the same ones that bring a solution.
Absolutely agree with you. And in fact, one of the things that I'll be reminding them is they had a few opportunities to participate in advocating for funding sources that they may not have taken full advantage of. So, so an idea is good, but you need to have more than an idea to get something completed. So, but my understanding, and I've only really been contacted by one individual, so it may just be one or two people who speak, and then they may have a group in there with them, who are just kind of, I believe, coming to say that they consider it important. Other than that, I'm not aware of what specific they'll be advocating for.
I got the same invite list and the rest of it.
Yeah.
I want to remind everybody that this Saturday at 8:30, we will have our second Saturday budget workshop. I think it worked well last Saturday. We had a number of members of the public present to share their thoughts and ideas. And this will be our second and what could be final workshop. If we need another one after Saturday, we can certainly call another special meeting. And Mr. Thompson, I don't want to belabor the clerk's report but tomorrow, but if you would you share with us any concerns or legalities that may be involved if we look at the December 23rd, 24th work session and council meeting and look at backing that up into one meeting, possibly on Friday, December 20th?
Yes, sir.
It's the day after my birthday, so I might be hazy.
We'll have plenty of liquids on the table. And speaking of clerk's report, Mrs. Thompson.
I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do tomorrow.
Let's not let tomorrow get in the way of today. If there are no other comments or questions, this meeting is adjourned. See everybody at 3 o'clock tomorrow.
Excellent. Okay, so Sam, here's my joke. This happened last night. Okay, so my office is pretty, it's got a lot of Dallas Cowboy fans, but there's some fervent Saints fans. Okay. They sit, this one guy, he called, right here, Ron, I gotta go get him.